So you know what I'm going to ask? Anas is headed for the Lords. He's going to leave Holyrood. Barring some unforeseen circumstance, you're going to be back in the Scottish Parliament. There's going to be a vacancy for leader. You're widely tipped as being one of the contenders, along with Michael Mara, Paul Sweeney, a couple of others. If there was a vacancy, would you be interested in principle and standing?
I thought this question might come up, and apologies to everyone who's tried to call me today to ask me this question, and I've not returned the call yet. Look, we are in still a very much a hypothetical situation here. Um, I'm pleased that it looks like I'm returning to Parliament. There is unfinished business, and I want to serve the people of Glasgow, but also make that contribution to Scottish Labour because when Scottish Labour is confident about our values, our vision, and the change we want to make in people's lives, we can do so much good. And it's such a regret of mine that in the campaign that we've just come through, we just couldn't get a hearing. And I don't want to be negative today about Keir Starmer. We're going to have to move on, but it was how people felt about the UK government, about decisions made by Keir Starmer. That was the main barrier. We just couldn't get beyond that on the doorsteps. And it just meant that, policies that we had in the manifesto, ideas that we had, the good and talented candidates that we had, we just didn't get a hearing. And that's deeply frustrating. I'm not going to sit here today and rule myself out of a race that hasn't even started. But I would hope that if I'm going back to Parliament, there's an opportunity for everyone in the party to have a fair chance at this. So I would hope that any process that's agreed by the Scottish Labour Scottish Executive Committee, because they are the governing body, that creates space for everyone in the party who wants to be involved in that to have the chance to not only put themselves forward, but to have the chance to contribute to that process. I have been through a leadership contest before,
Bruising.
and I wouldn't say it was bruising. I've been through worse things in life, uh, but it's not easy. It's not easy because you're effectively competing with your own colleagues. In my case, it was kind of toe to toe. I think as you said, with Anas, and these things are never easy. That one I think was very unique because it happened during the pandemic.
Mm.
And actually, I think a frustration that Anas and I both shared was that we couldn't really get out and meet the members. We had to do it online, largely on Zoom calls. Even the result was declared, by Zoom. It was just a very, very strange time. I think the only time that Anas and I got together actually was in the TV studio. We agreed to do a BBC debate and an STV debate, and that was the first time we saw each other during that contest. So that's really weird. But look, things are going to change, and there will need to be change in how we lead Scottish Labour. And I think sometimes, and I know why we do it, including journalists, is put a lot of emphasis on who will be the leader and who are they as a person, what's their personality. But I think we now need to think about, how we lead, looking at different models and actually trying to make space for different talents, different traditions in the party to shine through because the Scottish Labour Party, it feels like we've come through an election and we're now very diminished, certainly in size in terms of the Holyrood group. And if we are the party of devolution, and I absolutely believe that we are, but we need to be a stronger force at Holyrood. People need to see that actually we're a credible party that could form a government, and we're a long way away from that now. I keep saying 17, but 17 MSPs, the Scottish Greens are just two behind. We have the same number of MSPs as Reform UK. The Parliament looks very different from the one that I left in March. But, I'm someone that's used to working across party lines and can collaborate and can work constructively with Scottish Government as well. I think that's something that certainly I've been reflecting on that, you know, we can't just hit the default of everything's a crisis, everything's terrible, and just do SNP bad all the time, because that's clearly not getting us anywhere. So I think space to think about the best way to go forwards, to learn the right lessons from the election in May, and also an opportunity to work with a new Prime Minister and a new team at the top of government.